Welcome to Lickin' on Lending, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the mortgage industry. Your host, David Lickin, bringing you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. Whether you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, this show is your go-to source for all things mortgage. Let's get started. This is Lickin' on Lending. Now your host, David Lickin.
Welcome to another special episode of Lickin' on Lending. Very excited about today because we're going to be talking about customer retention, working on the top of the sales funnel with an industry leader, CoreLogic, now rebranded as Cotality. We're going to hear about that. And joining us on the podcast today is Praveen. Praveen, so good to have you back on the podcast. It's been a while and you've got some exciting things, but for those that have not met you, we always start off, tell us a little about yourself and how you got to where you're at there.
Hey, David. So great to be here. Excited to be back. For those who don't know me, Praveen Chandramohan. I am a business exec at Cotality, leading a lot of the origination solutions focused on top of the funnel, which is all about customer acquisition, customer retention, market expansion strategies, and a lot of the fulfillment capabilities as well when it comes to borrower underwriting. I can't believe it's been about 21 years in the mortgage industry. Prior to, so this is my 11th year at Cotality, and prior to Cotality, I was at Fannie for about 10 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, two great companies, and of course, Cotality, we got to get into that because we've known it as CoreLogic. You've recently gone through a new brand change. Talk about that. And I was really, when we were talking the other day, I loved how you described, there's three words that go into really describing how you came up with Cotality. Talk about it.
Yeah, no, really fascinating story. We, as probably everybody knows, we went from being a publicly traded company to a private company in 2021. We reorganized the entire company around the three key industry segments we serve: mortgage, real estate, and insurance. There's been a lot of changes in the company, both externally and internally. A lot of tech investments, strategic assets that we've acquired, divested non-strategic assets. Really shifted our focus towards customer being our North Star. And we thought it was a great point in time where the company is very different from where it was before. And how else to tell that story by
doing a
rebrand, exactly.
Yeah, rebrand.
Right. And
yeah.
so we went through a rebranding exercise, tried to figure out what would resonate with the culture of the company, the identity of the company. And three words resonated with the entire company and our external clients. So one is collaboration. Collaboration is all about this being a people-centric industry.
Yes.
We can only achieve success through collaboration. CoreLogic at that point is all about property. We know everything from the micro level to the macro level. And so totality was the word that resonated with us. And just the fact that we are so ingrained in the business processes for all of our clients, vitality resonated with us. So a combination of collaboration, totality, vitality gave birth to Cotality.
Oh, that's good. I love it. I mean, you invented a new word. It's like, when you create a new category king, you guys have done it again. We've got some really amazing products that you have launched over the last few years, especially a new way for lenders to experience leverage of data. Let's talk a little bit about your data, what you're doing. There's some very exciting things that are creating ongoing business opportunities for anyone who is working with you.
Yeah, no, so there's a spectrum of use cases that we try to solve with the data assets that we have when it comes to the mortgage industry. It can go all the way from your top of funnel, which is all about your customer acquisition retention. It can get into fulfillment in terms of streamlining data through the origination process, or it can go into your capital markets risk management perspective. But where I'm focused on right now, very excited about launching a platform called Aurea, which is really sort of a front door to a lot of the awesome Cotality assets that we have. The platform itself, from a top of funnel perspective, is all about tools to provide lenders on customer acquisition in terms of how they can bring in new borrowers into their pipeline. Customer retention, how do you recapture them for future businesses? Your market and competitive analysis, what are the different things you can do to understand who you're competing with, where you're winning, where you're losing, what can you do from a product expansion perspective? And last but not the least, homeowner engagement. It's all about
Oh, yes.
the entire mortgage industry is centered around home ownership. The goal of the mortgage industry is to provide a homeowner a place to live, which is their home. And so that engagement is something that we focused on. Very excited about it.
Yeah, it is very, I listened to all that you're doing without getting into how the sausage is made, but you were talking about gathering this data and how you bring it together. I got some other things I want to go to, but just give our listener an appreciation for how much goes on inside of your shop to bring this data together. So that, especially as it relates to this top of the sales funnel, because that's when there's so much activity with looking at what Rocket's purchased lately. There's a lot of activity and focus at the top of the funnel. How can your clients benefit from all of that you're doing there? Give us insights to what you're doing behind the curtain.
Yeah, so if you think about Cotality's data assets, just to appreciate the complexity, the sourcing is a massive supply chain. So there's about 22,000 different data sources that we go out to. Through a combination of automation.
How many?
22,000 data sources. So that's a big number, right? And so it's a huge supply chain. We have people, technology, processes, all trying to automate and maximize the data sourcing and the accuracy of that. We've built about 200 plus different models on top of that, because sometimes it's not enough that you get raw data. You have to provide a little bit more insights so that becomes actionable to our lenders. And we've collected this for over the past 50 years. So imagine having 50 years worth
of historical practice value
Exactly.
of something like that. So you be able to look at trends as a result of that. That goes into the analysis there. So
Exactly.
When you're talking the top of the sales funnel, what are some of the data elements that you guys are really focusing in on?
Yeah. So where we focus on is really the three big pillars from a data perspective. One is, what can customers do with our data to drive their customer acquisition strategies?
Right.
So in this, you can really think about using these data assets to create a buy box and say, this is the sweet spot where I do my business in. Mm-hmm. Can you help me with identifying the right set of borrowers, potential borrowers, and then combine that with your analytics on propensity to buy, propensity to refi, propensity to do a home equity, right, and give me that right combination. So that's sort of one area. The second area is all about what are called retention recapture, which right, I think is pretty huge right now. Oh, yeah. We've all heard mortgage stats, right? It is going to be a purchase-based market for the next, I would say, 3, 4, 5 years at least. And so everybody's honing in on this idea of mortgage is no longer a transactional relationship. It is relationship-based lending. And so retention recapture sort of become the topmost priority for doesn't matter whether it's an IMB, whether it's a bank, whether it's a credit union. Right. We keep hearing that all day long. And so from a retention recapture perspective, there's a lot that we can do without necessarily going into personally identifiable information, right? Just based on property and ownership records, we're able to provide a lot of insights into who they are, where their customers live, what are their sort of preferences in terms of buying properties, giving them insights into actionable things that their customers are doing in real life. Like if they walked into an open house, that's a signal that their customers are shopping. If they listed their home for sale, that's a signal that they're shopping. And then we just launched a cool new product called One Home Owner, which is all about investing that relationship into a long-term thing. So I think what is pretty obvious but understated in the industry is retention is a long game, right? It's not an instant gratification. Yeah. You can't just retain a customer today, get a customer today and retain them tomorrow. You need to put in the effort to retain, and tools like One Homeowner help you do that.
Yeah, and that's really a homeowner engagement solution. And so let's get a little more into what that looks like.
Yeah. So you said it right. It is a homeowner engagement solution. It is the most recent offering that we did in Araya, which is our central gateway platform. It's an engagement platform that allows a lender to engage with their customers throughout their homeownership journey. We've sort of talked to several homeowners during the build of this product, and what we realized is, there's a spectrum of homeowners, and for most of them, it is a very, very, very complex task. Home ownership is, comes with its own set of joys, sorrows, excitement, challenges, and one homeowner helps you connect all of that throughout the home ownership journey. More importantly, from a lender perspective, if you look at the industry stat, the retention rate for our mortgage industry is less than 15%.
Really abysmal.
That's like you spend all your money acquiring your customers, and then only 15% or less end up staying with you for their next transaction. And so how do you solve that, right? And so one homeowner helps you build that trust, and you get that trusting customer for life.
Yeah, and that's what really starts getting exciting. Everyone's trying to figure out how to change that. I've been in this business for 51 years. I mean, we've always suffered. I mean, it's come up a little bit, but we're still not holding on to that relationship. So this is a significant issue that lenders should be paying attention to.
Yes, agreed.
When you launch this, it really gets into where you are kind of starting to talk about Cotality, the rebranding of this, and how that's worked. What makes Cotality unique when it comes to solving customer retention? I mean, let's dive into that a little bit deeper. What are the growth challenges that you're also looking at there?
Yeah, so when we think about some of the challenges that the lenders are facing, it's all about creating those actionable insights. I spoke about the 22,000 different data sources that we have. And it's amazing what you can do with data, but what's challenging is how do you convert that into an actionable use case, right? And so, for example, when you think about customer retention, you have to think about it as a spectrum. And I talked a little bit about this being a long game. So you have to be ready, for example, doing the best-in-class customer segmentation. Approaching a customer with the right message at the right time is critical. But how do you do that?
So
and you do that by having
what you're saying. There's segmentation and timing. Those are the two.
Exactly.
Is there another component that goes into that?
So it's all about understanding what your customer wants. I'll give you a classic example. My own personal story. I get an automated email from one of my lenders saying that I'm pre-qualified and eligible for a refi opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, I'm going to be saving $200. So they got the messaging right, and I got excited about it. And I went through the process, and it turns out that towards the end, I was not eligible because there was a minor clause in that saying that is intended for your primary home only. And the home in question was a rental property. I used to own that, but it's no longer something that I own. And that built a little bit of friction inside me saying, well, you knew that this was a rental property. Why did you even give me the offer?
What you're really hitting on, Praveen, here is that we blow our own credibility by not having the data right. And so here you're opening up something going, oh, this looks interesting. But then they almost, better they not even do it at all than do what they did.
Exactly. And then you if you continue making these errors, at some point, you start to lose credibility, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not going to open this email again.
Yeah.
So it's all about right messaging.
Yeah.
And then when you add in additional customer intelligence, like some of the signals I talked about, higher propensity to buy or higher propensity to refi, or some cool tech like being able to identify shopping patterns through location intelligence, or identifying through a vast array of our MLS data sets, identifying things like a home listed for sale. You now sort of blend in, I know everything about the property. I know for the most part I can accurately predict intent. And now I'm starting to get signals about timing. You nail down timing, you nail down content, you nail down intent. That's your nirvana, right? And that's how you sort of get your customer for life.
Yeah, and then it's also then you talk about the way you communicate to them. I mean, what was that? The intelligence, you mentioned it just a minute ago. It's not coming back to me. But you just mentioned about something about how you speak to them is also critical. I think that messaging. Sorry,
you got to build trust, and you build trust with making sure that you land on the right messaging and the right content, and so that's all driven by data.
Let's talk about messaging, because that is such a key part. So many people struggle with messaging. They got all the data right. They got all this great stuff, but it's that messaging. How do you guys help on the messaging?
By helping them with timing. So sometimes it's not just the messaging in terms of you are eligible for so and so, or we can help you with so and so. It's also about timing. You have to understand sort of the ownership journey that they're in, or the buying journey that they're in, and if you land that accurate messaging at the right time,
So good. So good.
that's when it starts to converge, and then you start to see benefits from that opportunity.
This is really, for those that are using this, it's almost creating an unfair advantage. When it comes to this, I just was out on a bass boat, and I'm amazed at the technology that they have now in bass boats where we can go find the fish. It's almost like you've created a fish finder, a borrower finder that really allows you, whoever's using your service, to have a much higher conversion and a much higher retention rate than what you're saying.
That's right. So the way I would phrase that is, it's all about democratizing the data.
Yeah.
We wanted to help level the playing field in terms of opportunities for the lender to connect with the borrowers. What we cannot guarantee is that the borrower will have a repeat business with you, but what we all strive for is, yes, it is human tendency that the borrowers will shop, but we want to make sure that you are the first person they call.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
are going to call others,
Yeah.
but we want to make sure you're the first person they call.
Yep, that first mover advantage is always the one that you want to have. But this does give you a much stronger, ability to connect with them, as you're saying. Yeah, I'm really interested about what's going on, especially where you're going. I'm excited to hear Cotality's future vision. AI is all over everything. What can we anticipate with where we go from here?
You brought in the buzzword, and I'll tell you, we are all in. So AI has been so just taking a step back, Cotality as a
That's
company
a good play
has
on words,
always.
by the way, AI all in.
That's right, AI.
AI.
Cotality has always embraced artificial intelligence in many forms, right from the time of learning machines, where you would build in predictive models. I talked about the 200 predictive models. They all are in the broader category of AI. But I think there's a recognition in the industry that the new wave of generative AI that has come in is got potential. It's got some real potential. So what I'm excited most about is our approach to how we use AI. We talked about democratizing data. We talked about how AI can help. One thing about AI is it's only as useful as the data that powers it.
Right.
And so the first thing we're doing is we're making our data AI ready.
That's a really good point. Get into a little bit AI ready, because you're hitting on something I'm just learning about. How do we make our data AI ready?
Right. So if you think about how these large language models operate, is that they scour the internet, build all of the knowledge from based on public knowledge that is written in articles, YouTube videos, different websites, news, and it tries to form a mental map of what is the state of the affairs of the topic that is being asked. And then it has predictive functions in saying, all right, now that I understand the topic, the user is talking to me about understanding something else, and I'm sort of researching my knowledge base and trying to give you the answer. Now, if you narrow this down to the world of mortgage and the world of real estate, there are two separate things that will start to emerge. One is what I call public knowledge.
Right.
So public knowledge is all about consumer education, guiding them through the buying process, which large language models are ready today.
Right.
But when it gets to specifics about that specific property, that specific loan parameters, that specific borrower conditions and things like those, LLMs cannot solve it because that's not publicly available information or not easily available information. And so we've, like the models that we built, the data that comes out of it, they're all proprietary to Cotality, in addition to some of the public data sets. So when you're making this AI ready, you're essentially training a large language model to understand Cotality's data. So now you can interact with it like you're interacting with ChatGPT today.
Wow. That's it all exciting. It gets really exciting. Give us an example of how AI in this use case could be worked and how this is all going to be playing out in the future.
Yeah, that's a great question. As we speak to a lot of our clients, they're all exploring the same things as we speak today. But what's starting to emerge are some key themes. So I'll plant a couple of ideas for your listeners. So imagine a world where for every loan officer, there's a loan officer assistant that is with them. It'll not only surface up actionable insights in a timely manner, but it uses all of these agentic AI capabilities that exist in the market today to do a lot of the foundational work for the loan officer. So think about converting all of your outbound leads that you have to make phone calls day in and day out, converting that into inbound leads and magically showing up for appointments or even a mortgage application. Another awesome use case is think about a chief strategy officer for a lender that is responsible for growing their business. And imagine having an assistant right by them and that is driven by AI and producing actionable insights on which loan officers you'd have to be recruiting if you want to grow your presence in the retail market, or which realtor should you be networking with. How is the competition doing? Who am I winning? Where am I losing?
Wow.
What strategies, what products, in what geographical areas? Unleashing all of that in a timely manner. That is the future.
And almost in real time, as you're doing this, it's real time. You're bringing in the analytics, you're bringing the data, and you're getting output right on the spot as to what's going to make the difference, what's going to move the needle.
That is exactly how I see the future of AI evolving in the mortgage industry. There's a whole bunch more that can happen, but these are some of the examples just to get some juices flowing.
I applaud you on the rebranding, and I can see why it's so timely with how the broadening of the service, the growth of your services from what CoreLogic did to now what all of that you're doing inside of Cotality.
Yep.
I mean, this is just amazing. I mean, I'd love to dive in. I'm kind of a geekhead when it gets to the data nerd. I love getting into all of that, but we won't bore our audience with that. Got to have you come back because I'm really interested in home ownership, the one home ownership. I really want to get into that in a much bigger way, but that's going to take another podcast because I know you have some exciting announcements. So we're going to I want to tease that up just for our listeners. Going to be paying attention because we're going to be coming back with another podcast here soon about some of that.
Yeah.
Naveen, thank you so much for being here. So fun to talk to you always. Your energy, enthusiasm is crazy where data is concerned. I share that with you, but not everyone understands the importance of it. You guys are doing a brilliant job, and I love the new name, Cotality.
No, thank you, David. I share the energy. I get a lot of it from you, so thank you for that. This is an awesome conversation.
It's excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Praveen.
All right, thanks.
Listeners, I hope you liked this interview. If you did, please like and subscribe to it and share it with others. A special thank you goes out to our sponsors, Byte Software, First Close, Angel AI, True, Candid, Mortgage Bankers Association of America, Lenders One, Modex, Redder, Mortgage Advisory Tools, and Fuel. Listeners, appreciate you being here. Share and like and subscribe. Talk to you soon. See you back here next.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending. Our passion is to bring you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. So on this show, if you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, it's your go-to source for all things mortgage. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Lykken on Lending.